Let's face it, we could all use some optimism, no matter how good or bad our favorite team is. Baseball is a crazy sport where unprecedented things happen all the time. Realistically, can the Oakland Athletics win it all? It's very unlikely, but in today's video, we're going to be diving in to the best case scenario for every team and how they could win it all this year. Miami Marlins, the pitching rotation. Sandy Alcantara and Yuri Perez are two of the best young pitchers in the whole MLB. And if some of their bats reach their full potential, man, they could be scary. For me, if the Marlins pitching stays good and their bats come alive, they could win it all this year. They made it to the playoffs last year. Why can't they just take that next step? Washington Nationals, young talent. Last year was a year full of young talent. We saw teams like the Orioles, the Cincinnati Reds, the Arizona Diamondbacks emerge onto the scene because of their young talent. Why can't the Nationals do the same next year? Lane Thomas is a great all-around player. CJ Abrams, if he reaches his full potential, could be lethal. I like what they have in Josiah Gray and Mackenzie Gore as well. I think for the Nationals, I'd say just if the young talent reaches its potential. Atlanta Braves, I don't really have a reason why, because what's stopping them? Heading into 2024, the Atlanta Braves might just be the most complete team in baseball. The pitching is good, the lineup is good, the bullpen is pretty good, so what's stopping them? If they just find some consistency in the postseason, I think they're an easy candidate to win it all. On the topic of consistency, we got the New York Mets. They got to find that this year. They got to go get some free agents. We know they always do. Steve Cohen is like that. The talent is there. Pete Alonso, Francisco Alvarez. If the New York Mets just find some consistency this year, I think they could be a threat. How the Philadelphia Phillies could win it all? I'd just say getting hot at the right time. They seemed to kind of run out of steam in the postseason last year. I know that's not really the best reasoning, but I think we all know that they have the talent. They don't really have any gaping holes. They just got to keep their foot on the gas the whole postseason, and then they're an easy candidate to win it all. Moving on to the NL Central, we got the Chicago Cubs. I'd say addressing the pitching issues in the offseason, whether it's through trades or free agency signings. I think the Cubs will have a big offseason. They let it be known that they're going to be out there spending some money, and I think what they need to go after is pitching. Don't get me wrong, I don't think their pitching was bad by any means last year. I just think they could add a little more depth, keep Marcus Stroman, and just add more depth and beefing up that rotation. Staying on the topic of pitching, we got the Cincinnati Reds, a young team on the rise that exceeded expectation last year. And as a Reds fan, all I want for Christmas is the Reds to have an active offseason, and so far they have. I was a little bit peeved when they didn't go out and get Sonny Gray and the Cardinals went up and got him, but the Reds have gotten themselves two veteran pitchers, which I think is great for them. But yeah, for the Reds, I'd say don't lose any untouchables, any of that young talent, but get themselves some pitching. Let Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcraft, Andrew Abbott, some of those young pitchers cook, and also get themselves some veteran pitching and just a stable rotation. And I honestly might be a little bit biased, but I think we are easy contenders in that scenario. Add more depth to the bullpen too. Like to see maybe Chapman make a return. I don't know, but yeah, definitely add more depth to the bullpen too. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates. I would just say be active in the offseason. They don't really have the best track record with that, and I think they could improve all around. They definitely do have some young talent. O'Neal Cruz, Ke'Bryan Hayes. The young talent is there, but I would like to see them add some depth all around. How the St. Louis Cardinals could win it all? I'd say if free agency signings pay off. The St. Louis Cardinals had one of their worst years in franchise history last year, but they're not, going into full rebuild mode just yet. They went out and got Lance Lynn and Sonny Gray, and they're clearly showing that they're still a competitive team. They were just a step back last year. The St. Louis Cardinals will definitely be an interesting team heading into 2024 with the acquisitions they've made and the talent they have. They're kind of like a hit or miss type team. If and only if their free agency signings pay off. If Gray and Lynn and whoever else they're planning on signing this offseason come out and disappoint, it might be tough sledding for the Cardinals. But if they come out and do well, it's a completely different story. Arizona Diamondbacks, man, they were on the verge of winning it all last year when no one expected them to get that far. If Arizona can get some power in the offseason, maybe get a couple more bats, I think they can definitely win it all next year. They were just a step away from winning it all last year. What's stopping them this year? Next up, we got the Colorado Rockies. Now, I like their lineup, especially in Coors Field, but realistically, this might be a little more of a rebuild year for them. So how they could win it all, let's just say they go out and sign some better pitching and their lineup just goes off and they get hot at the right time and win it all. Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the better teams in all of baseball, but the storyline right now for them is, when's it going to happen? When are they going to go get themselves Shohei? We know they're a great team, but if and only if they add Shohei and maybe some pitching, they're definitely up there as one of the top contenders in all of baseball, like they always are. Speaking of the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes, we got the San Francisco Giants. I like them to make a big move in the offseason, whether it's Ohtani or it's Juan Soto in a trade, one of those type of guys. I think the Giants go out there and make a big splash this offseason. I like their team. It's a pretty complete team all around. So they make some additions. They can definitely find themselves contending in that NL West and, hey, maybe getting hot in the playoffs. Baltimore Orioles, young talent, just getting better and better. I love what they have down there in Baltimore, and I think they could be serious contenders. It wouldn't hurt for them to maybe go out and get some pitching, maybe some bullpen, but there's no real method to their madness. I think they're just a good team, and how they win it all is their talent delivers. The Boston Red Sox, one of baseball's most storied franchises, has been on a downward spiral these past couple years, and I think this year they do have some potential if they go out and maybe get some pitching. Maybe, hear me out, they get Yamamoto. I could see that being huge for them, but yeah, I think pitching is a problem for them. So how they win it all, address the pitching. I know I'm saying that for every team, but bear with me. Speaking of storied franchises that had disappointing years last year, we got to talk about the New York Yankees. How the Yankees win it all, Aaron Judge stays healthy. This man is elite when he is on the field. Another thing they could do, they could make a big offseason move, whether that's trading for Juan Soto, whether that's maybe getting Ohtani, maybe getting Yamamoto. But I think in general, they don't really have to add anything. I just say they need to stay healthy throughout the season. They need to be consistent throughout the season, and that's how the Bronx Bombers win it all. How the Tampa Bay Rays could win it all, I'd say pitching stays healthy and the bats come alive. The bats start cooking for the Rays. How the Toronto Blue Jays win it all is they finally start cooking in the postseason. Over the past few years, the Toronto Blue Jays have just sort of ran out of speed during playoff time. If they get hot during the postseason, they're definitely right there. The Chicago White Sox are very interesting. You might have to put yourself in like a time machine and go back to like 2021 to actually find some potential in that team. But right now, things are looking pretty bleak. But like I said, baseball is a funny sport. Unprecedented things happen all the time. And the White Sox do have some talent. How they win it all, let's just say Luis Robert carries them on their back and some magic happens and they find themselves getting hot in the postseason and winning it all. The Cleveland Guardians, a team that is looking like they might be heading into rebuild mode, but how they win it all, they don't go on a rebuild. Jose Ramirez cooks like he always does. They keep Shane Bieber. He has a great season. And yeah, Tito's legacy lives on, and the Cleveland Guardians win it all. The pitching is good. I just think they might need to sign like a power bat or something, and then they have a chance. The Detroit Tigers could very well be the breakout team of 2024. How the Detroit Tigers win it all after years of suffering. Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, tons of young talent. They all cook. Eduardo Rodriguez anchoring the rotation. They could maybe go out and get some pitching, some bullpen help, maybe a starter or two. But overall, I think they're poised to break out. How they win it all, the Young Bucks. Kansas City Royals build around Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. broke out last year, and he's poised to have an even better year this next year. So build around him, get some depth, get some pitching, and then they can maybe get hot, make a run in the postseason, and win it all. Not the most realistic, but hey, the Minnesota Twins finally won a playoff series last year, and I think that gives them the momentum heading into 2024 to not just win one playoff series, not just win the divisional series and the conference series, they win it all. The talent is there. The easy division is there. Now just get hot in the postseason and we can start talking some World Series for Minnesota. The Houston Astros, they're not going anywhere. They're still one of the best teams in baseball. I think maybe last year was like a little bit of a down year for them, even though they still almost like went to the World Series. So this year, they're definitely capable of winning it all. Who's stopping them? No Dusty Baker will definitely make things different, but this team is like too talented to not be in that upper threshold of teams when talking about the MLB. All right, so we all know the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes is the biggest story in baseball right now, but what if we just shut them all up and Shohei just stays with the Angels and Anaheim? Trout stays with the Angels. They build around Ohtani and Trout, get some pitching, and they get the job done. I'd be happy with that. Trout stays healthy and does Trout-like things. Ohtani does Ohtani-like things. This team could be magical. We've been saying it for years now, just get it done. Next up, we got the Oakland Athletics. They are an easy lock to win the World Series. They're going to win it all. They'll just have to, shut off the Xbox, shut off MLB The Show once they're done. All right, I'm not going to be that guy. Let's talk about, realistically how the Oakland Athletics could win it all this year. Esteury Ruiz gets on base and just messes with the pitcher and catcher's head completely. Brent Rooker has another 30 home run season. The Oakland Athletics get hot at the right time and win the World Series. And this story just breaks the sports industry. Maybe they make a movie about it, call it Moneyball. Seattle Mariners, how do they win it all? I'd say go out and get Blake Snell. Get the Seattle kid to come and pitch for you. The Cy Young, Cooks, and Julio Rodriguez just keeps getting better and better, and the Seattle Mariners get hot and win it all. The Texas Rangers, the defending champs, they run it back. Corey Seager has a great year again. Adolis Garcia continues to emerge. Jordan Montgomery on the mound. There's nothing stopping the defending champs from repeating. All right, so this video is going division by division, but, I was ready to call it a day with this video until I realized I forgot two teams. I forgot the Brewers and the Padres, so let's talk about them. The San Diego Padres have seemed to just be forgotten by everybody, even me, but they make everyone remember who they are because the talent is definitely there. Tatis, Bogarts, Machado, the talent is definitely there, and they could get hot at the right time. San Diego rallies around the Padres, and they win it all. The Milwaukee Brewers are definitely an interesting team, but how do they win it all? I'd say just ride off the pitching and then get hot at the right time. What do you know? Maybe they win it all. Christian Yelich definitely has the talent still in him. Maybe he can have like a 2019 MVP type season. He definitely, went back to form last year, so let's see more out of him. Sal Frelick, let's see a big second year out of him, and maybe they could win it all.